CPI came in light, market is reacting. I think we sell off anyway. So we have some action today where Bitcoin's been rising like sort of the last whole 24 hours. Last night I did a couple orders in Japan. A bunch of other things came up, so I didn't get a chance to go live again. Sorry about that. But yeah, I traded a little Toyota, a little Sony. Look, I mean, I'm not a macro guy. A couple things I'll say about CPI. It is backward looking. Tariffs are inflationary. There's some debate on Goodell was whether they're transitory or not, but certainly while tariffs are in effect, they make prices go up. I saw some freighting guys saying, this is all going to get passed through. So we get this increase in prices, which are, in essence, a tax. Yeah, I traded Toyota and Sony, 7203-6758. Those are the two tickers in Japan. I like trading Nintendo out there too. I didn't trade any Nintendo. The Rigetti and IonQ executives sold all their stock. The CTO of Rigetti dumped everything. And the CEO of IonQ dumped everything. So Peter Chapman was kind of a curious character in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. CPI is not that interesting. It's one of many measures of economic activity, economic sort of status. Valuations are still kind of incredibly bad. It's very hard to say, okay, CPI is light, so I'm going to buy Walmart and Costco at 40 times earnings with no growth. That's sort of a tough thing to do. And there's plenty of other reasons to sort of be cautious or be bearish. So I don't know if we get a big rally today or not, but I think that the fundamental issues of the stock market are the prices that went up too high too fast, and the earnings have to catch up. Look, day to day is sort of you're gonna see all kinds of gyrations, but the fact of the matter is, peak to trough, IonQ and Rigetti have dropped 60-something%, and they'll continue to drop till they hit zero. But day to day, you'll have all kinds of back and forth. Yeah. The PE ratios, the valuation ratios, they're all out of control. I mean, there's really nothing that could save the market other than massive earnings growth, and I mean massive earnings growth. Nvidia is doing that, but the rest of the market's pretty tepid. I mean, there's no great product cycles. Microsoft is doing well too. Give them credit. Certainly Google, Amazon, I guess we are getting decent earnings growth, but, tech is only part of the market. And, most of the same narratives that we're talking about don't change at all. For example, NVIDIA the AI bubble has to continue. Yeah, it is New York Islanders. It is. It's on the screens folder, models in my GitHub, and then screens. And you can see this, one of my favorite kind of home base files to look at is the largest market cap list. Edited it a little bit here. So again, I think we get a sell-off. I think there's an opportunity to sell off. I think there's a lot of concern about tariffs. There's a lot of concern about valuations. There's a lot of concern about AI and the continued growth of AI, whether that's going to continue and fuel NVIDIA or not. I do think it fuels the bigger software companies. But we'll have to see. I think that the Goldilocks thesis is reasonable. We are in a bit of a Goldilocks environment. Roche has some news. Roche, and I see the Roche news. Very simple. Zealand and Roche enter $5.3 billion collaboration. The question on these collaborations is how much cash got sent day one. That's the real question. 1.6 billion up front. Wow, that's insane. And that's for a long-acting amylin analog. The long-acting amylin analog from Novo sort of disappointed people. So AbbVie and Roche are doing one too. I do think we sell off today. I mean, I'm a contrarian. I'm sort of digging in my bear thesis here. So, it would be very surprising. It would surprise most people. We'll do a D-Wave quarterly preview at some point. It's just such a dog company that I'm not sure it makes a difference unless they have a really good quarter, I don't see how it can matter, but let's take a look. I mean, they have a really hard comp. So last year they did 3 in the quarter. It's like really kind of a lumpy business. It's not like Rigetti and these other guys. I'm not sure where they're gonna come out here. They're not really conventional. They're not really quantum. That's the reason. They're not quantum, and that's why the revenue has been flat for years. It just sort of sucker people into buying it. Yeah, we need to do a wellness check on Springer. I mean, he's Intel has traded the most with 14 million shares, followed by Nvidia, Tesla, Palantir, Supermicro, NEO, which is a really low price stock, so it always shows up in this list. Robinhood, Big Bear. If you want to follow along, go to godellterminal.com. Big Bear AI, also a very low price stock with D-Wave Quantum. So they've traded a lot so far, 2 million shares. DoorDash, 2 million shares. That's a high price stock. Amphenol, Alphabet, Huntington, Bank shares. Broadcom, Comcast, SoundHound, still trading a lot. Xpeng down after a big day yesterday. Marathon Digital, Rocket Lab, Oklo. Bubble stocks are kind of coming back today. Oklo, Rocket Lab, they're all the same. This is all the same stock, by the way. I mean, no earnings, no revenue, just vibes, man. Amentum, Nebius, and Alibaba round out the list, having traded 1 million shares. Now, gainers, Stitch Fix is up 13%. Hope Bancorp up 12%. Sprinkler up 11%. Ehang Holdings up 11%. Wing Yip Food Holding Company up 10%. Some of these Chinese guys. CommScope up 10%. Butterfly Network up 10%. There we go. Applovin up 9.4%. Big for a $98 billion company. Novo Nordisk down 5%. That's a big one. Perhaps that's from the competition of licensing amyloid peptides from Roche? I don't think so. We can look into why Novo is down so much soon. But other than that, everything looks normal to me. Value, Tesla's traded already $2 billion worth. Amazing. Nvidia, $1.5 billion. The rest are much less. Palantir's 4,500. DoorDash and Avago, and Google around 300. Meta and Intel as well. Amazon Strategy, Applovin, Supermicro, Apple, all around 200 million. Alibaba, Amphenol, Robinhood, Lilly, Microsoft, UNH, all the big leaders up, trading around 100 million. Taiwan Semi, AMD, Seagate on the list. Haven't seen that in a while. Reddit, Pulte Group, shout out to Bill. Kind of a quiet day other than CPI and a couple of deals. So we're trying to do a quarterly preview. You know, it's a little difficult. These companies are quite shady. D-Wave price to sales is 140 times sales. The quarterly estimate is 2.2 million, but that's down year over year. In fact, that's down 2 years in a row. So if you look at Q4 21, which I have, and for whatever reason others don't, and Q4 22, which I think others have wrong, and then Q4 23, I want you to look at this chat because, I mean, this is not what you want as a company. I don't know if you could see this. Maybe you could see it. I have the quarters highlighted. Imagine you're running a business. Q4 is often the biggest quarter of the year, right? Q4 of 2021, 2.4 million, 2.4 million, 3 million. Okay, maybe we're making some progress. And the consensus here is about for 2.22 million. That's the consensus, which is down from even 2021 levels. Yeah, I traded some Japanese stocks last night. Toyota and Sony traded in the PM session in Japan. Just getting my Japanese trading sea legs back. Haven't transacted in Japan in a while. So yeah, Rigetti short interest right now is 61 million shares. It's at an all-time high. It's never been higher. D-Wave, same thing. D-Wave's never been higher, 54 million shares. IonQ short interest is as paradoxically dropped as the stock has dropped, which, again, you interpret these how you will. I don't think they're that causal. So market fading a bit, 101 basis points. Yeah, I talked to a big hedge fund manager last night who was fascinated by the CoreWeave IPO. Now, we know CoreWeave really well. Early customer and friend of a lot of the other companies in that space. And just kind of a major question this guy and I had was, you know, what happened to equity capital markets? What happened to the IPO market? This was supposed to be, you know, the best time for Wall Street is when, you know, the equity capital markets, you know, when you're doing offerings and you're having big, you know, big numbers, you know, that's kind of the, you know, when you have guys coming out doing IPOs, it's just huge payday for Wall Street. So that basically stopped with the new VC cycle. So what happens next when, you know, the VC cycle slows down? Do you get some IPOs? CoreWeave filed to go public. Cerebras did too. Neither have gone public yet. So if they can get CoreWeave out of the door and out into the markets, I think that'd be a really interesting sign. If Wall Street stops that and says no, that would be devastating. Now, you can always find some suckers to buy a stock, but the valuation in the private markets is what matters a lot, because you don't want to do a down round on the public markets. So a bunch of these IPOs have been in the pipeline, whether it's Shein or others, but you actually do have to get them out. And the private markets have developed so well and so liquid. I saw SanDisk. Welcome back to the stock market, SanDisk. It just does make you wonder, like, what's really happening with the IPO market. So I'd like to see CoreWeave, here's the point. If there's a big appetite, for AI, we should see CoreWeave go public. We should see even Cerberus go public. I mean, Cerberus is a lot cooler than IonQ. Doing my best Alex Jones there. But Cerberus is seriously an old book, House of Morgan by Ron Chernow. Some more Wall Street history. And then Advances in Financial Machine Learning. Yeah, this is a famous book people don't like, actually, Advances in Financial Machine Learning. So yeah, ceasefire, lower inflation. Who knows, maybe the tariffs get canceled. There's a lot of ways to juice the market. But I think the fundamental issue is demand. Can you get demand in a way that can continue to grow? You don't want to be dogmatic. So yeah, I'm trying to parse the market-making trades from yesterday. I don't know if you guys want to see this. I'm trying to do it chronologically. It's not a number exactly. If P&L equals NAN, P&L equals positive rand. That's the FTX way, baby. Okay, so these are just 10 minutes of transactions, chronological order. It's not a bot. It's a systematic trading strategy. I will also accept statistical arbitrage. I will also accept quantitative algorithmic deployment. But if you say bot one more time, did I say quantum? Okay, so the bot shorted Apple at 223.23, bought it back 6 cents lower. That's more or less what it's supposed to do. S&P holding its 1.15% gain. This is the vol we take advantage of, I guess. You got to cover some when it drops, and you got to short more when it goes up. And as long as it's going down in general, I think that's the goal. Market's a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long term. And today people are excited about the CPI, but that may not last very long. We'll see. Yeah, you get some relief rally every now and then for stocks. I mean, IonQ's been going straight down for a long time. So somebody said IonQ up big time. I know, Sam, you're a smart dude, but let's make sure, this is the big time. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but, I love you. I'm just, listen, there's today's change and the change over some other period of time. And today's change matters more if you just entered the trade or whatever. So he's right. No, he's, any customer of mine, I already know that they're a smart financial player. If you have a leverage trade on, or if you're watching something really closely, look, it is what it is. The thing about book value for a company that loses money is your book value is dropping continuously. So you have to raise money continuously. So unless quantum computing, whether it's government grants or commercial opportunity, unless you start making money at some point, you will, drop to book value, if not lower. If you look at biotech stocks that have sort of a permanent problem. So you have to tell me if somebody is short $50 million of a stock and you say something good just happened, person is going to get a little antsy. Even if you're being, especially, if you're being sarcastic, it's like, Well, if you have a huge amount of money on the line on something and you bought a product for enhanced financial information intelligence, and then someone says, oh, there's good news, their heartbeat will jump, and then they read it and they're like, oh, this guy's, I guess he's being sarcastic. And then their heart rate jumps down again. And it's like, look, I'm a financial professional. I'm not here for sarcasm or comedy or so forth. Now, of course, hedge fund managers, when they talk to each other and others, they're sarcastic, they joke, they do all kinds of crazy things, and you learn their personalities. But it's just something to keep in mind. Imagine you're DMing Steve Cohen. Are you gonna write, oh yeah, this is great news for IonQ? He's gonna why are you wasting my time? What are you're trying to make a joke? We're sitting here trading, we're trying to make millions of dollars. We're not, I don't know that Cramer's a counter signal. There's a few things about him. The first is Cramer was a very, 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 very good trader. He made about 23% a year net. 22, 23% a year net. That's net of 20%. So high 20s gross for 20 years. That's one of the best trading records I've ever seen. Sharp was insane. We had one down year, I think. No, I mean, Stevie talks to all Wall Street every day, and is, you know, especially his own guys, obviously. But, you know, I think, you know, when you're talking to a group, it's different from like you develop a personal relationship with a guy, you know his attitude. Like I could send that DM to a friend of mine because, you know, they know maybe I'm prone to talking like that or something like that. Yeah, look, the TV picks. So I think that's the point is like Kramer would buy a stock. He'd be really unsure if it would go up or down. And he would just quickly adapt to the circumstances, which you can't really do in TV. He can't be like, breaking news, hold on. Kramer's coming in with, I might change my mind on NVIDIA. You know, it's really hard for him to sort of like, there'd be breaking news every 2 seconds. I'm considering lowering my Microsoft position. And, you know, so you're taking a trader and you're shoving him into a seat that's a little bit difficult for him to fit in. And exactly like, if I was on TV, it'd be hilarious. I'd just be sitting there. I would never, CNBC could pay me $100 million. I wouldn't do it. I would literally sit there and they'd be like, Shkreli, what are your top picks? I'm like, I don't have any. I'm researching. I'm waiting. They'd be like, okay, great. 2 weeks later, Shkreli, did you come up with any good stock market ideas? Mean reversion, 2 sigma mean reversion on half-hour intervals. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shkreli. It's much more exciting to say, AMD. You know, I can do that. You know, but it's just too random. You know, it's some people love the spotlight, and that's cool. I mean, Jay-Z has a great song about this. Some people don't hate the spotlight. I would say it's quantitative algorithmic deployment. And news is all entertainment, exactly. The media companies that make the movies also make the news. IPOs is just an unbelievably volatile stock. I mean, okay, market fading a little bit more. S&P only up 78 basis points. You deny Shkreli. You think Shkreli's wrong. You think Shkreli makes bad predictions. But here it is, S&P fading. You'll never defeat the human spirit. Oh, Max, are you upset with my stock picks? I didn't pick Intellia. I deliberately said stay away from Intellia. I deliberately said stay away from Arvinas. Intellia I've been just bagging for years. That's literally 2 years, my 2-year stock pick. That's been just a bag. Poor Dawn. But yeah, just to make it clear, I said there's no data for Arvinas. People ask me every day for Arvinas. I was like, I don't know it, I don't know it, don't know it. Then finally, I was like, fine, I'll look at the data. There's no data. Yeah, I remember buying it, but I dumped it and said it was, there's no data. I don't really believe in Intellia anymore. I mean, I feel like once you've lost money in a stock, you should just move on. But yeah, I thought it was very, very explicit on Arvinas. I must have said that thing 20 or 30 times. No, what happened with InfoWars? Rigetti is borrowable on Interactive. Applovin I'd stay away from. A little too shisty. S&P has faded harder now, only up 53 basis points. Applovin is a bit shisty, man. Their product works, but that data, brokerage data, underground is like very, you know, makes me feel like I'm trading soups in MDC Brooklyn. My favorite time was when there was a young gangster in MDC Brooklyn and they stole his phone, okay? And he was asking me for advice. And here I am, you know, corporate guy 6 months ago in boardroom meetings. And I feel like I'm talking to an executive that works for me. And he's explaining the scenario. And I'm like, and he's like, how should I react? I was like, well, I think retaliation would be mandatory in this case. And he was like, retaliate, right? I was like, yeah, I don't see a way how you could really let this happen without, you know, having some kind of retaliatory countermeasure. I mean, you just can't sit there and be abused like this. So I would retaliate. Of course, you know, 2 hours later, the whole unit's shut down for, you know, he didn't snitch on me. I mean, I had nothing to do with it. I was just giving the guy advice as to what to do. He was feeling some type of way, which is a very specific category of ways to feel, some type of. Then he had some innovation, very interesting innovation. He was able to pry a metal bar from one of the lockers, which is very, very unique. I didn't know you could do this. And he used that to, let's just say, get his reciprocity. Yeah, Joe, I mean, I tried to be even-handed. I was like, is there a way to negotiate or talk this out? There's no alternative in this scenario. I don't remember the exact scenario. It was something like it was the guy's phone, but it was his people he thought he was cool with. And then it turns out that, listen, when you got a phone in jail, it's like, that's like having a Sony PlayStation in your neighborhood a week before everybody else. You know, people lose their minds over that. Okay, so first trade made 6 cents. Next trade, pretty healthy profit here, actually. So yeah, there it was up 74 cents. Very nice. Here's where I would have a qualm, like, oh no, this is a good trade too. Here, it kept buying as it was dropping, which I'm okay with in principle. This is yesterday's quant trading, so I just want to make sure it's doing what I want it to do, if that makes sense. It's interesting that all the sells are $1.38 in commission and all the buys are $1. Okay, so that trade closed. These are all profitable so far. So here it's just accumulating a bunch of inventory. I'm putting, these are the sort of open trades. It's accumulated a bunch of buy inventory. SPY up 59 bips for anybody watching. So it does another quick flip, makes money on this. Again, profitable. And here, again, lightens up. I mean, these are good trades. I like this. These are all money trades. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, the downside of inflation is it is an economic signal. So it is important to sort of keep that in mind. You can get disinflation and deflation pretty quickly. It's a very tricky situation. Okay, so here accumulates inventory again. Here it's accumulating quite a bit of inventory. And then, okay, here's sort of where I don't like it. Like, it should not be selling for a loss. But, you know, traders, you do have to sell it. Well, is it? It may not be selling at a loss. I'd rather it, like, wait for a little bit more lift before it starts selling. Yeah, I mean, I can adjust it.